Good witch, bad bitch, moon's out riding dirty on a broomstick. Crystals on her neck so you can't touch this, leaving all the energy that we don't fuck with.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Good Witch, Bad Bitch podcast. Season 2, I know, like, elephant in the room, I have not made an episode in a while. It's been like a crazy couple months and I'm not even going to go into it because I feel like I do this all the time, so there's nothing new here. Like, this has been known that sometimes I fall off the face of the earth, and if you are curious about where I've been, what's been going on with like the move and stuff, I have a whole video on YouTube about all of that, so no worries. I'm not going to go into it though because I already have. So welcome back. I'm excited to be here, kind of kicking back up the podcast, bringing it back to life. So I actually wanted to start this episode by pulling a tarot card because it feels fitting. It just felt right. So today we're going to talk about essentially the easiest trick I've found to fall in love with your insecurities, or at the least to accept your insecurities and kind of move from a place of body neutrality if you can't get to body positivity just yet. So it's something that I've been doing for a while, and it's kind of like the biggest thing that's helped me. So I wanted to share it with you guys. It feels so easy and simple, so it's like, it feels kind of silly making a whole podcast episode about it, but I think it just feels simple to me because I've been doing it for so long and I thought this could help somebody. So before we get into my like how I do it, let's pull a tarot card. I wanted to see if there's any advice from the tarot, from the goddess, for how we can just like love each other, love ourselves a bit more. Advice with like overcoming insecurities and falling in love with yourself despite what society freaking tells you. Because honestly, I think society is like the profitization of our insecurities is probably one of the biggest threats to us, honestly. Ooh, we've got the Four of Pentacles. So, okay, I feel like that is saying almost like holding tight to what you know, and like being so rooted and grounded in what is real also, because pentacles represent earthly plane, so like the material realm and stuff. So like having this wealth of knowledge and like a physical experience that is true to you, that you can hold tight to when insecurities come up. Because also I think like a lot of, again, what I was saying about the profiting off of our insecurities, they do that through like a series of, you know, kind of like insidious psychological tactics to try to get us to feel bad about ourselves. And if we just stay rooted in knowing that we're enough and we're good, and just in like the real, staying rooted in the real and the practical, maybe like having a list of like, I know I am enough, like I am, my hottest body is my healthy body and the body that I have, you know, like some affirmations essentially that you can tell yourself, so that when the next trend comes up that they try to sell you on, you can actually just stay rooted in what you know and like, yeah, that truth. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that. Cool. Also, you guys can hop over to YouTube if you want to watch the video audio podcast. That's where I'm at. You can see my face. But other than that, let's jump into it. I do want to just like really quick hype my little book. For those of you who don't know, I released a book on June 4th. It's my poetry book, Dark Moon, New Moon. By the time this comes out, it'll be like literally almost a month of it being out, and I'm trying to get to 100 copies sold within the first month. I'm really close. Last time I checked, I was at 89, so 11 away. So I don't know where I'll be when you watch this, but if you haven't got a copy yet, I highly recommend it. It's a great book. Nothing but 5-star reviews on Goodreads and Amazon, and it's been so fun. I have a whole video about making the book, so I won't bore you guys. I won't go into that too deep because we've got a whole podcast to get into. So cool, let's jump into it. Okay, so I want to open this podcast by being very, transparent. And I think that although, I definitely am at a place in my life where I talk a lot about confidence, I would consider myself a fairly confident person. It wasn't always that way. And also, I still have my moments. I would say I'm really confident in myself a good 80% of the time. And now, that's going to change if I'm in my luteal phase, which is something I've been working on with my therapist. I think it's called PMDD, is something that I'm pretty sure I have, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which I actually think is pretty common, but our healthcare system just hasn't really looked into, the female menstrual cycle, much until recently, so it's considered kind of like a new diagnosis. I actually have theories that it's really common though, because I feel like I hear about it from so many people, the same things. Essentially what that is during my luteal phase, so the week before my period, I get really bad body dysmorphia and just really depressed. And so during those times, obviously my confidence takes a dip. But with a lot of these mindset shifts and self-love practices that I've adapted, even when I'm in those spaces of not feeling confident, I know what I need to do to bring my confidence back up. And I think also you just kind of learn that you can have moments where you're not confident, and that's okay. And that doesn't make you not a confident person, because you can realize that okay, I'm in my luteal phase. I know physically, you can tell I've been doing cognitive behavioral therapy because I'm let's work through the facts. I know that my body is changing with the hormonal shift that I'm experiencing. That's a fact. I know that physiologically I'm having these hormone shifts, which is making me feel different. That's a fact. I know that for me personally, social media really triggers an unhealthy comparison in me, especially during the luteal phase. So I know to taper down my scroll time during that. And that might not be, the case for you. It might be something else or whatever, but for me, that's kind of what I've learned. So all that to say, I know I come off very confident. I am very confident. And I also have moments where I still am not confident. And I think that that's just something that we will have to deal with probably forever in our society, because the way it is, the media is kind of, under capitalism, the best seller is selling beauty, because for centuries, we've been told, as women or femme people, that our worth is based on if a man finds us attractive enough to marry us, right? Which we can cognitively be yeah, that's not what I believe, but there still is there are those underlying layers of those teachings that's kind of just been imprinted in us throughout the years, through media, through our parents, through their generations and their parents' generations, So I think that it's good to separate yourself from that, but it's also give yourself some slack, because our whole society is kind of built around making us hate our bodies so that we pay money for 12 vitamins and collagen and plastic surgery and cosmetic, procedures and makeup and hair stuff and always something better. And always, God, if you get on TikTok, you see fucking the craziest terms that they're just coming up with now about fucking, I don't even remember what it's called, but the eye tilt and the, I don't know, all different kinds of shit. Color seasons can obviously, I think that can be used good, but the kibby body types, it's just a lot of labeling really normal things into categories and then like making us feel like we have to fit into those categories or dress a certain way, or if we don't look a specific way, then we need to, change that in some way, shape, or form. And I think that that's just something that is going to be in media for a while. Thankfully, I think that being in the entertainment industry, like I've seen firsthand, they are pushing more scripts and more models who look like everyday people, and I think that's really good. But I also think it's important to remember that that all comes through a capitalistic view of like, oh, like that's what's selling. Like the consumers want to see, more realistic bodies and stuff like that. So like, yes, that's good. And also that's just what's selling right now. So just don't trust the media, like essentially, because it's always going to be trying to sell you something. But I think we're getting better as a society. I think the pipeline I want to talk about, I wrote it down here, the acceptance to love pipeline. And this is kind of like how I did it. I guess let me really quick just like tell you the trick, and then we'll go into all these little things. The trick for me is to find celebrities or people in your real life who you find attractive, you think they're beautiful, and find the ones who you find beautiful and they maybe share a feature that you're insecure about. So if you're insecure about your nose, like look at the celebrities who have had like not the ski slope or whatever like they're telling you to do with your nose now, nose, like people who have noses that look similar to yours or don't fit into the societal norm or like what you see people getting surgeries to look like, right? So for me, this is something I did because for like my entire childhood into my teen years, I really wanted to get a nose job. After being bullied, it wasn't something I ever didn't like about myself, but after getting bullied, it's like you think that means that is wrong and you need to change that thing. So I really wanted to get a nose job my whole life and really struggled with it. And it wasn't until I noticed like these people who I thought were really beautiful who had noses similar to mine. So Gal Gadot has a really pretty nose, I think, and hers is kind of similar to mine. It's not the ski slope. It's like a little bit more, I don't even know what the word would be. Like it's not like the inward slope. It kind of goes out a little bit. And also Sophia Loren, she's like, she was like a beautiful movie star back in, what was it, like, I don't know, the 60s or 70s. And she is like so, so gorgeous and also has a nose similar to mine. And so it really just took me consciously looking at these iconic women who did not conform to those beauty standards to see like, okay, because I think that the like message that it puts out when you see parts of yourself being in the before picture, and by that I mean, for me it was like the before nose, right? Or maybe it's the before weight loss for you, or maybe it's the before makeup or whatever, when you see yourself in the before, you start to subconsciously connect that that's not pretty and that's not beautiful. And when you do this trick, what I've said about looking for celebrities who have this thing, or someone in your life who has this thing that you have that you feel insecure about, and you think because you have this nose, it negates every other beautiful part of you and it makes you not pretty, but you see a celebrity who you find gorgeous with that same nose and you realize that they rock that nose and they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous with the nose. They're gorgeous without the nose. I mean, they're gorgeous, and the nose doesn't take away from their beauty. That makes you realize that even though society wants you to think that you need to fix, air quotes, every single part of you that doesn't fit the cookie cutter to make you look perfect, and if you don't, you're not going to be pretty. That's the lie. What you need to realize is that beauty and embodying this embodying beauty doesn't mean fitting into the cookie cutter. It is and I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but in my experience, it really is about owning you owning yourself, owning your appearance, and like rocking it confidently. It's like Sophia Loren, Barbara Streisand. These are beautiful, beautiful people, and their nose doesn't take away from that beauty. It, if anything, adds to their uniqueness and adds to that image, and they rock it. I wanted to share this quote with you that I said. I was gonna wear this crazy outfit, and I was like talking to my husband, and I was like, you know what? Because I was wearing this crazy outfit. I was like, you know what? I think you can wear anything if you put your whole pussy into it. And by that I mean you can wear anything if you just like do it confidently, like put your whole heart into it, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying with this. Like, yeah, I hope that makes sense. I feel like that was kind of a ramble, but that's what I'm trying to say. So thinking about the things you believe make you not pretty, or these physical like insecurities that you have, and then making a plan to just be aware of people that you find beautiful who have that thing, because that'll start to connect the dots in your mind of, just because I have this thing that society has told me is not pretty does not make me not pretty, because here's the evidence. Here are a bunch of beautiful people who have that thing, right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think we're really critical of ourselves, and it takes admiring the beauty of somebody else to be able to consciously admire our own beauty. And so for me, this was like, I mean, Tyra Banks, gorgeous, right? She's got a big old forehead. Rihanna, big old forehead. Megan Fox, I don't think she has that big of a forehead, but she talks about having a big forehead. And that was something I was always self-conscious about, because I have a bigger forehead. And once I was like, yeah, Tyra Banks has a big forehead, and she's fucking gorgeous. Like, and Rihanna, and she's so pretty. And they're not trying to hide it, because I think that was another thing too, is like, I always have felt like I needed to wear bangs because that's what you're supposed to wear if you have a big forehead, to try to, you know, kind of like even it out or whatever. And sometimes I like bangs, but sometimes I don't. And I think that's what you see with Rihanna and Tyra Banks and Megan Fox, is like they don't cover it. Like they, you know, rock it. And I think part of owning these insecurities is learning to rock it and to own it. So this is where I want to go back to the acceptance to love pipeline, because I know I'm talking about just rock it, just own it, blah, blah, blah. But that is really hard. Like when you're starting to go on this self-love journey and you're starting to heal these things and heal your relationship to your nose or your weight or your height or whatever it is, right? So I think the first goal is just acceptance. And this is something that I think we've seen kind of a rise with. You know, you hear a lot about body positivity, but I think more recently they've been talking about body neutrality, which I think is really good and a good place to start, and really helpful if you're in a lower place or in your luteal phase. Because for me, like when I'm feeling really down, you know, for whatever reason, I'm been really struggling or whatever, or I'm just in that luteal phase, like I will really tune into body neutrality. And instead of being like, I love my body, I feel so pretty, I feel blah, blah, blah. If that's not true, I just tune into, like, my body is my body, and that's okay. And, you know, if I am feeling, a little bit bloated, that doesn't need to have a negative connotation. And really, also, if you have the capacity, unwrapping why that negative connotation is there. For me, that's something I worked with. I do struggle sometimes with a bit of body dysmorphia, like I said, during my luteal phase. And so I would feel bloated. I would notice that my clothes wouldn't fit as well. And that would start me down a spiral of like, you know what, I haven't been working out. I have been eating poorly, you know, and then cycling into like, oh no, like blah, 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 like feeling really bad, really guilty. And that would just feed that cycle. So I'd have to stop myself and be like, okay, why does feeling bloated make me feel so bad about myself? Especially if I know it's just part of my luteal phase. Why does gaining weight scare me? Like why? What's wrong with that? And when you face yourself, authentically and honestly with that question, what happened for me was I started to really unravel, like, okay, this is because, like, the patriarchal, misogynistic society we live in tells me that I need to be thin and that gaining weight is not good. Do I believe that? Hell no. I do not believe that at all. I don't believe that my worth is tied to maintaining my jean size or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So really asking yourself, well, why is this a negative thing? If my nose is bigger and not as ski slope as the girls on Instagram, why is that a negative thing? Truly, why is that a negative thing? And for me, the answer has always been, well, that's what society says, or that's what you're supposed to do or supposed to look like, or that's what's pretty. And I think that can also lead you down a path of what is pretty, which I want to get into, but I feel like I'm jumping all over the place. So going back to what I was saying of body neutrality. So when you know, notice these feelings come up that maybe feel a little bit, I don't want to say negative, but because no feeling is negative, feelings are just feelings, but a feeling that is uncomfy and maybe a little self-deprecating, kind of just being like, okay, so I'm noticing these feelings come up. I'm noticing that I'm feeling bad and guilty that I don't fit into my pants. And I just need to remind myself that there's nothing wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong with gaining weight because that is something I believe, and if I'm feeling guilty about not moving my body, maybe I'll go on a walk. Like maybe I'll just do some light movement if I'm not feeling good, if I'm feeling depressed. Let me still move my body and take care of my body, but let's not do it in an unhealthy way, right? Let's not like freak out and go to the gym and be really strict with what we're eating. Let's just go on a walk because we want to care for our body. And that body neutrality is like, yeah, I am like gaining weight and that's okay. And that doesn't have any negative connotation. Body neutrality can also look like just the facts. Like I weigh XYZ, or yeah, my nose is bigger than hers, or oh yeah, I do have a different body shape than this person. Like if you're finding yourself comparing yourself, just having that neutrality of like, I can be aware of my body and none of these things need to be negative. And then working your way to that love and acceptance and like celebration, because I think a lot of these insecurities are not things that we're truly insecure about, but rather things that we've been told are bad. And we see this with some interesting studies that have been done on what is beautiful. There's a whole book on this that I really want to get. But a study was done to see like what is beautiful. And essentially they found out that whatever people tell you is beautiful is what you tend to start to find beautiful. And it ranges throughout like all the different places they, did this study. So you also have to understand that beauty, obviously, I mean, when we look at the epitome of beauty in the Victorian era, that's not what we necessarily as a society find beautiful today. And I think reminding yourself of that is really good because that can remind you that it's not you. Like it's not your nose or your weight or whatever that's not pretty. It's literally society, like literally. And you can find so many people who go against the societal view of what's beautiful, who are rocking their appearance and rocking how they look and really owning it and looking so beautiful. And I think there's something really special to that because I think you see, and I don't want to go into the slippery slope of like shaming people who get cosmetic procedures or plastic surgery because I'm very pro those things and I think people should do whatever they want to do with their body. And I myself have gotten lip filler before, so I'm not against cosmetic procedure. I'm not against that at all. But I do think you start to see like kind of this cookie cutter look come through. And I think that people should do whatever they want to do with their bodies, but I do think that, there is something really special about having a unique look. And like I've said, like the people who've inspired me the most are like people who owned these things, like Barbara Streisand and you know, all these people who maybe dealt with folks, especially in the entertainment industry, saying like, oh, well, you need to fix your nose. And them saying like, no, I don't. My nose is fine. Thank you. And, you know, they just rock it and they just go forth. And I think that's really inspirational and part of what has made me like want to keep my nose because it is like, you know, I also want to make people who don't have the currently trendy nose like feel like, yeah, you can be beautiful and look different, and that's okay. And so I just think there's something really beautiful about uniqueness. I also like to do what I call exposure therapy. And so this is what I do. Because sometimes when you're fighting with body dysmorphia and stuff, like, it does, at least in my case, like, in your mind, especially if it's something you can't see, it can kind of like, you can kind of make it look different in your mind, if that makes sense. So for me, I'll take like a lot of side profile pictures, and I used to really, really avoid, I would never let anyone take a photo of me from the side because I did not like my side profile of my nose. And I kind of just like forced myself to start taking side profile pictures, like not the ones that you take to like inspect your face when you're feeling really like, you know, down about your appearance, but like when a friend is taking cute photos of me, I'll do some cute side profile ones and like have fun with it. And I've honestly like really enjoyed them and really found like the beauty in my side profile. And every now and then, if I'm feeling a little down about my nose, I have to just take some more side profile pictures, and that's what cures me, you know, like along with many other things, but that is something that truly makes me feel good. And also not giving in to the self-critical voice in your head. So when you go to put on an outfit and it's making you feel like, oh, okay, well, you know, I feel like this is really showing off my tummy, or I feel like not really confident about my legs today, or my boobs, or whatever it is, like wearing the outfit anyways, if you can. I know that's like kind of hard and tricky to do, but I have found that that really helps me. So that was one thing that helped me like really own having my tiny titties, because I noticed that wearing like my push-up bras, the more I wore them, the worse I felt about my boobies. And the more I went braless, the more empowered and confident I felt about them. So again, it is kind of that like exposure therapy of making yourself experience it and making yourself come face to face with these parts of you that are your insecurity, and finding the beauty in it anyway and really owning it, and yeah, like wearing it confidently. So yeah, sometimes that does look like for me wearing a crop top when I'm feeling a little bloated, or, you know, not wearing a bra if I'm feeling like a little bit insecure about my boobies, or taking like a side profile picture when I'm feeling like my nose is, you know, making me frustrated, you know. So just things like that I think have been really helpful for me. And also I think when you like wear the two-piece summer outfit in despite of what society has told you you're supposed to wear, it's like an act of resistance. And it shows everyone that you encounter that they can do it too, right? So, and I mean, you're gonna, like, I know I saw this post from like somebody I went to high school with, and they were talking about how trashy it is not to wear a bra. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, girl, you have so much internalized misogyny to be like sexualizing people who don't wear bras when there's nothing sexual about that. And because they were going in about how it's inappropriate and like women are sexualizing themselves too much. And I'm like, what is sexual about not wearing a bra? Like, literally. But I didn't go into it, but I wanted to. But, you know, so you're gonna get people saying stupid shit. You know, it will trigger people because the vast majority of people do not even want to unwrap their, body image issues. And they will project that onto you. So it is something like be aware of. People are gonna say dumb shit, you know, probably not to your face, hopefully. If they do, that's fucked up. But like, people might be weird. People might be, you know, projecting and stuff, and you just have to remind yourself that this is your life. And like I get always nervous at the gym because I like to wear my cute outfits, and I'm always like, am I gonna, because you know, I see those videos on TikTok of like people approaching girls who are wearing like shorts and a sports bra and being like, you need to cover up, or all the comments under girls' posts, and it's just like, am I gonna deal with that today? Am I gonna have to deal with that? And you know, if people are bothered by what you're wearing or how you look, that's literally on them and not your problem at all. So there you go. I think affirmations helped me a lot in the beginning phases, and I always pull them back in. Like if I'm ever feeling myself kind of, because you know, healing is not linear, and you know, when we're on our confidence journeys, like we're gonna slip up, we're gonna have bad days, and you know, we're gonna kind of go backwards, when in reality that's not really how healing works. But you know, we'll slip up, we'll get a little bit, you know, down on ourselves. And I always like to bring in affirmations at that point to make sure that like we're bringing ourselves up to where we want to be. So just affirmations like, I love my nose. My nose is so unique. I love my body. My body carries me through the day. It doesn't have to be about like, my body is so sexy and I'm so toned and hourglass and blah, 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 blah. It can just be like, yeah, I'm hot. Like, it can be about attractiveness. It can just be like, my body takes me where I need to go. My body does so much for me. Especially if you're really struggling with feeling pretty, just starting with the basics of like, my nose helps me breathe, and that is worthy enough, you know, and that's cool. Things like that. And lastly, I would say, just in this journey, while you're doing these things, while you're looking at these celebrities or these people that you find beautiful, who share maybe the same insecurities as you or have like similar features as you, while you are doing those affirmations, while you're working on body neutrality and working on the acceptance to love pipeline, when you're on social media and or any media, like consuming movies, magazines, anything, just be aware that so much of what you're seeing is edited. And also, people are posting the best photo out of the hundreds of photos they took, right? So it's just something to be aware of. And also, like, a lot of people get stuff done, and that's okay. And, like, all your favorite celebrities guaranteedly have Botox and filler, and that's just, like, essentially the norm in LA, and that's beautiful and great, and, you know, whatever people want to do. So just remind yourself that it's not an equal playing field. Like, you know, you at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, right, you've been sweating because you're at work all day, is not the same as Kim Kardashian, who's had like hundreds of thousands of dollars of work done on a set with a professional hair and makeup artist, with a professional photographer and editor and everything. It's not the same, and you really shouldn't compare those things because they're very different. And I will say, as somebody who's been in the entertainment industry and in the modeling industry, it is all fucking edited. Like, even the shit that you do not think is edited, and even the shit that they say is not edited, is edited. Even the shit they say has no makeup on, has makeup on, right? So it's really kind of problematic, and like, yeah, it's crazy. So just be aware of that. And give yourself some grace, because it's a crazy world out there. So I hope that makes sense. Remember, anything can look hot if you put your whole pussy into it. You just have to do your best and do what feels good and own it, and own it. And don't worry about fitting in. Just focus on being you and working with what you've got and owning it, right? And doing what feels good. I hope that makes sense. Thank you all so much for listening or watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Friendly reminder, tarot readings, astrology readings on my website. My book is available for purchase through Amazon and Barnes & Noble if you haven't got it already. And yeah, thanks again. I'll see you all next time. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd encourage you to stick around. I've got tons more content for you here on the podcast and over on YouTube under my name, LunaSeranova. Make sure to follow me at LunaSeranova on Instagram for everyday witchy content. And if you'd like to share your support in a super easy and free way, go ahead and rate this podcast to let others know what you thought. My books are open for tarot and astrology readings. I've just released 2 new specialty readings, the Good Witch reading and the Bad Bitch reading, each to help you connect to your higher Good Witch, Bad Bitch self. Go ahead and check out my website for more details on that. And if you're ready to up your Good Witch, Bad Bitch game with a group of fun, supportive, and loving witchy friends, you should join my Moon Fam on Patreon, and you'll get access to our group chat on Discord, our book club, and other behind-the-scenes and exclusive content that you'll only get on Patreon. All right, love, I'll see you next time. Until then, go forth in your life with the power and love of the Good Witch, Bad Bitch.